Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon for some. So it's a pleasure to be here on our weekly program. And today we're going to talk about why we suffer. So let's understand a little bit more about sufferings, what I need to learn, why I suffer, and how I need to handle it. And here with me, I do have these lovely friends from Lithuania, from France, and from UK. And once more, thank you very much to be here with us today.
Good evening, everyone from Europe. Good morning from somewhere. Good afternoon from Brazil. It's really a happiness to be in the same room with so good friends. More than that, brothers and sisters, on behalf of dear Master Jesus. And so, go into your home, to your heart, so you are here as well. We are a big room, a big net in the world. And together, we are learning and studying the Spiritist teachings. There is no teacher or professor. We are always students. Okay? Thank you all.
Labas vakaras visiems, labai ačiū, kad jūs čia esate su mumis. Šiandien turėsime dar vieną pokalbį apie dvasingumą ir nušviesime gyvenimo klausimus. Tikiuosi, kad jums bus įdomu, naudinga. Ir šiandien kalbėsime apie kankinimą, kaip gyvenimas gali būti sunku, bet kaip pakeisti. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you for being here with us. Have a good evening, you all. And let's see why we suffer today. Hope you enjoy it.
Bonjour, bonsoir. Très heureux d'être parmi vous de nouveau ce soir pour traiter de ces sujets spirites, simples, élémentaires, mais aujourd'hui d'un peu plus compliqué que d'habitude, hein, donc le pourquoi de la souffrance. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Happy to be here with you to share some thoughts about some questions linked to the Spiritist philosophy. And today, a rather complicated one is why do we suffer? It's not simple to answer, but we will try.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see how it works. And in order to start today, I will put a quick video, a short video, and then we will talk more about it. Let me put it here.
Actually, a very nice video.
Yeah. Okay.
Every effect has a cause. I know, you know.
All of them knew.
It's logical and natural to believe that. But what about the unexplained events? Should we simply follow some belief just to believe in something? It's easy to find the causes of many effects.
If it's wet, it's because it has rained.
If it's cold, it's because winter has come.
Okay, these are silly simplifications, but you're about to see what I mean. Picture this. When a plane crashes and kills hundreds of innocent people, or when a child is born with an incurable disease. Now, a crucial point. One of the most well-known attributes of God is his supreme benignity. Don't you agree? Humanity has always used the words love, justice, goodness as synonymous for God. Can something that is love with a capital L run a world where, for example, a child is born with an incurable disease and will be made to suffer what few days they have left? It's divine will, some would say. We begin now with the concepts of the Spiritist teachings in regards to the law of cause and effect. Every effect has a cause. So we can conclude that if the cause of a suffering is not in the present life, it should be in the past. That is, in previous lives.
Here lies a very important concept: reincarnation.
You will find a link to our episode about reincarnation in the description box.
Going back to the law of cause and effect, we can mention the ancient concept of karma used by Buddhists and Hindus.
What you did in the past reflects in the present.
Right. But the good news is that Spiritism proposes a proactive perspective. It's important to understand the past, to realize the present when we pass through difficult times. But what's more important is to be aware that our decisions today are the ones that will define how our future will be. We are totally responsible for everything that happens now and will happen in our lives. To sow goodness today, it's your decision.
There is perfect balance in the universe.
It's time to discover the spiritual laws. It's time to be free.
In the description box, you will find links to a more profound study. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. See ya!
Such a wonderful job Spiritist Academy does, isn't it? Beautiful videos with right comments, so those guys spot on always. It's very good. It's very good. So just give you a kind of, not introduction, but we understand that suffering, it's always with the mankind since our origin. You know, always we see the history of man suffering, dying, recovering, getting better, evolving. So it's part of our past. In the Gospel according to Spiritism, Allan Kardec explains that the origin of our pain comes from two different sources. Those that are generated in the present life, and others who are generated in the past life. But I want you to call your attention, it's not because you are suffering today, it's related, you did something wrong in the past. That is not such a punishment. We need to leave very clear this, you know? And also, our friend Leon Denis, he says, pain corrects, educates, perfects, exalts, redeems, and glorifies the human feeling with each vibration that extracts it through suffering. So it's suffering is that impulsion we need in order to evolve, in order to get us going out of our comfort zone and really work through ourselves. And based on this brief comment I said here, I'd like to ask to Elsa, my dear, how to act in face of suffering?
Stephen, this small and short video summarize loads of things that we can explain and talk, and we have many books for studying, really a reasonable understanding what's going on and why we suffer. First, we must understand that our sufferings of this world are sometimes the result of a cause outside ourselves, but more often they result from our decisions made. If we trace them back to their origin, we will see that most of our sufferings are due to causes we could have avoided. In the Spirit's book, Part 2, Chapter 6, we're talking really clearly and understandable, reasonable studies about spiritual life. That says, If us, as individuals, always lived judiciously and never abused anything, if we always had simple tastes and modest desires, we would save ourselves so many tribulations. God would show more kindness in condemning people to eternal suffering because of a few moments of error, mistakes, that in granting them to means to repair their wrongs? Of course, no. We use our free will and should face the answers of our own way to live. Everything says in the short video, cause and effect, action and reaction. That is nature. Everything is in nature. We can learn with nature. The diamond, in order to be real, to prepare the beautiful and shiny diamond, you have to do loads of things in a higher temperature with the carbon in order to transform in beautiful diamond. God would show more kindness in condemning people to eternal suffering because it's wrong. No. The same applies to spirits, means discarnated one with no physical body, of course. The sufferings they undergo always result from the manner in which they lived on the earth in their past existences. God is justice, merciful, creator, created the universes in expansion, create incessantly. It's not our planet that we have living beings as we. We have other planets in the same category. They have human beings there. Mars, for example, is a little bit evolved than Earth. It's a different way because they don't have so many mistakes that we still are doing here. Because pride, selfishness, that this is something that is very nasty for us, is working against us. How many ills, how many infirmities do people owe solely to their excesses and ambitions? In a word, to their passions. The law of cause and effect, as I said, is perfect. No one undergoes trials and attunements that are not in their path as a lessons and opportunities. So our mistakes in inverted commas are opportunities to learn how to be a better person. If I had a lot of money in past, I did not use my money to help poor, to give a good hospital for poor people, for everywhere. If we really hold this money in my coffers or my fortress, so I'm not using in a good way, in the next incarnation, I will come and face the same situation in order to learn how important it is to have someone giving, helping these charities that you work with people with a lot of needs that we have here in the United Kingdom. We have so many charities, good charities, really. The physical sufferings the spirit underwent in the past will leave no painful memory or disagreeable impressions because these affect only the body. Of course, according to the level of knowledge of the spirit are taken in a physical way. For example, we are studying here now. There are people learning about spiritual life. So you have your mind attuned with something beyond our physical body. So if you are aware, will be easier in the spiritual world acquire a knowledge that you are without your physical body. We include myself, and it's easy to understand what's going on, where we are going after leaving the physical body, and so many things that we can study right now, and science is studying as well. So the spirit is happy to be relieved of them, and his peaceful conscience will exempt it from all mental anguish. Before I stop, only the one question that I want to read here, and there is a comment as well from Joanna de Angelis in the book In the Search of Truth. It's not translated. I translate only for this session. 3. Do spirits hold on to the memory of the sufferings they bore during their last corporeal existence? They frequently do, and this memory enables them to better appreciate the happiness they now enjoy as spirits. The basic idea for a reincarnation with less suffering on the cessation of it is through understanding the need to experience love through its practice, kindness, and universal responsibility. In view of this, it is possible to verify the similarity of ideas between several prophets, their teachings to lead us to a more lucid behavior, and within an ethics and moral that softens suffering and changes its causality and thus better lead our existence. Prophet visionaries that came from before Jesus, sent by God during millennia. So I leave you with you now, Esteban. Thank you.
Thank you, my dear. Thank you very much. And just before I go with the questions, I want to say hello to a lot of people. Like we have friends from Canada. Say hi to us. Diego, good evening, Diego. Patrocínio José. And Laja, that's somebody for you here. So, Daniele Werner.
Yes, Danielle is a Lithuanian descendant, as I am. So
Yeah, good.
Yes.
Good. So thank you all. And Don Sambal from Chicago here. Hey, Don. Nice to have you here. And thank you very much for joining us today. Okay. Charles, my dear friend, now it's your turn to help us here to understand. We know the Spiritism is based on autonomy principles and not on autonomy principles. As we know, this changed the gears of dogmas and punishment completely. Is a different, complete change of the gears. I think that's the right word, you know. But can you explain in more based in Kardec, like you are? You have such amazing research and recently discovered that where Kardec's mom died and where she died. You know? So can you explain how it works? What's this changes? Why it changed? It is something we mistaken before, or is something we didn't notice and we missed that part?
Yeah, I mean, it's. Thank you for the question, Stephen. It's a full context. In the Middle Age, we had, how to say, monarchies. We had a very strong influence of the official religions, and all these abuses linked to those things. And they used the religion or in the way to dominate the masses. And this is why they continuously encouraged an heteronomical approach. So what is heteronomy? There is a superior authority somewhere. It can be God, it can be the Pope, it can be the king or whoever, who tells you have to do this. And then whether you understand or not, you simply have to do it. If you do it, you will get rewards. If you don't do it, you will get punished, either in this life or after you die. You are punished going to hell, or you are rewarded going to heaven. This is basically heteronomy, okay? But of course, with the century of the lights and the evolution of the perception and discernment of the people, they started to question those things. Why? What has the Pope more than myself? What is the king better and his son, whatever, compared with some other person? And they started to discuss these things, first through in a kind of a soft way, like Voltaire or Rousseau in France, bringing these new ideas. And at a given point in time, I think it was a little bit boiling, and poof, you had the revolution in US, the independence. Then you had the revolution in France, and this gave also several similar reactions in almost all the countries in Europe. And this is when this concept has changed. So the opposite word of heteronomy is autonomy. And these people were claiming for autonomy. I can understand, I can study the law of natures, I can study also the law of the spiritual world, as Kardec introduced in the mid of the 19th century. And then I can decide myself autonomously what is good and what is not good, what I should do and what I should not do. And you decide this autonomously, not because of a reward or a punishment, but simply because you understand that this is better for you, it's in line, in harmony with the nature, and it will make you happy, or it make also the other people on earth happy, or the whole society. So this is the difference between autonomy and heteronomy. It's basically one word, the opposite of the other. So what has this to do with pain, with suffering? Of course, the law of cause and effect is something that we can understand. Nadia will develop further, but if you take a simple example, you take a hammer, you hit on your finger, then you have pain. You have, it gets red, it will inflate and whatever, and it will bring you pain. So this is a very simple illustration of law of cause and effect. And there is no God here to punish or to reward. So God does not punish. God does also not reward. It's simply God has done the law of nature as they are. The law of nature are perfect like God. If God exists, it can only be perfect. And the good is all what is in harmony, in line with this law of natures. And the evil is all what is in disharmony with this law of natures. And this makes us understand that the origin of the pain, and also the origin of the suffering, is coming from the evil, whether it is something we have done in this life, or if it's not in this life, or for instance, a child, as it's shown in the video at the beginning, the cause is not in this life, so it must be somewhere coming from a previous life. And this is the big also understanding brought by this law of reincarnation, that can explain such things that you cannot explain without reincarnation. You cannot explain why someone is born with a heavy physical or mental problems, and other one are very clear and healthy. You cannot explain this when you make a reasoning only on one life. You can only explain it when you make a reasoning on several lives. And then one time it's like this, otherwise it's other next time it's like that. And you find again this equilibrium and this infinite justice. What I would like to say also, of course, I gave an example, which is physical pain. So this is clearly the mechanism of cause and effect. But you have also mental pain. And mental pain is a little bit more complicated. It is, some are saying, and it's true, it comes from unsatisfied desires. I would add to this, it's also a lack of understanding of what is really necessary and what is superfluous. The person which is satisfied with what he has will always have enough. And the person which is never satisfied, who having something, wants something better, bigger, quicker, and more expensive, will never be satisfied. And this is something that can explain the mental pain. And then you have also another consideration is some people have pain but do not suffer, and some other, they suffer even without pain. So between pain and suffering, it's something different. So just to summarize a little bit, all this, the example of the hammer on the finger is something simple, and this works. We can also question, why are the animals suffering, for instance? But you know, when an animal is burning itself somewhere, he will the next time take care not to burn again, because it is somehow a natural something which is good for, how to say, the preservation, a defense of our own body. So this shows clearly, like a child, when you explain, don't put your finger here because you can burn your finger. As long as the child did not burn the finger, the child will not understand properly what you have told him. But when he has burned, then he will understand and not repeat the same thing again. You see? So it's all this, I think we can summarize, is it's pain, as you perfectly told it, Stephen. This quote from Léon Denis: corrects, educates, helps us, preserves us, redeems, glorifies us. And because without pain, you know, we do things which are wrong, we don't know, and only when the pain comes is that we think about, and then we stop doing the things which are not good. You know, it's something, a kind of a warning for us, exactly to teach us what is in harmony with the law of nature and what is not. And the pandemic is the same. It's really a collective trial which is happening on Earth. We talked about it in the past live. And it's also teaching a lot of things to the human being. What is the best reaction? How can we avoid it? How can we protect from it, and so on? And also it teaches what are our duties in terms of refraining a little bit our liberty, not to jeopardize the liberty of our neighbor. So, as you can see, without such events, the world would not progress as it's progressing. So we should really see the pain as one of the strongest means to accelerate the progress, whether be it individual or collective. And our spiritual view, understood in full autonomy again, is we know one day we will die. I repeat it almost several times. And the day we die, what will happen? What do we take with us? We take our conscience. And Léon Denis has another quote, which I like a lot, is, we have no other judge, no other executioner beyond the grave than our own conscience. And that's all about it. And once we understand this, then I can tell you, you autonomously, you will immediately take the decisions to do the things which will give you a good conscience, because you know that one day when we will have to go back to the other side, to the spiritual world, this is what we will take with us, and not all what is material, all what we are suffering and gambling and workaholic and whatever, for all the material stuff, because all this will stay here. So pain again is suffering is to teach us. Is with this that we are really progressing quicker, because without that we would have a progress which is much slower.
Yeah, it's interesting. But can we say, like, I'm suffering today, and I do my exercise in order to find out why I'm suffering, why I am doing this and doing all this, but I still don't get answers.
Yes, so that's also a difficult point, because we don't remember our past lives in most of the cases. So the thing is really to understand the law of nature, the nature of God, the fact that if it exists, it can only be infinitely perfect, and that all the laws of nature are harmonious and perfect. So once we understand this, and once we understand also the law of cause and effect, so understanding again, in the sense of the autonomy, not because it's told or imposed, but really because we understand it by our own reasoning.
We choose this trial.
Exactly. And then you understand that this effect must have a cause. And you understand also by analyzing better what drives the choices we ourselves are doing before reincarnating, and which makes that sometimes we autonomously again are selecting to have a life with a lot of difficulties, or even with some heavy disabilities since when we are born. This is most of the time our own choice. It's our decision. And why do we decide this? Exactly because we know that life in such condition will help us to progress quicker and also to cure our soul.
Yeah. Wonderful, my friend. Thank you very much. Thank you. And now we go to Lithuania. Yeah. My dear, Elsa Brilliant explained to us how we need to behave once we are suffering. Charles gave the basis, like it's our choice. It's not a kind of punishment. We need to understand we choose that type of suffering. It's like when you are a child and you take your son to a doctor, and the doctor says to the child, to the parents, he needs an injection. The child cries a lot. No, I don't want. No, I don't want. No, I don't want. And the parents, no, we're going to have it. Because the parents and the doctor are seeing the results, the consequence of that injection. And even though the child says, no, I don't want it, no, I don't, suddenly we listen, he had the injection. And he got better. Based on this, my dear, what science to see about suffering, how to avoid it, how it affects us, is there any way we can do in order to make this painful less?
It's funny, the example that you gave, because I think we all may have gone through this as a child and probably as parents with our own children. So first of all, I think the best thing is to explain and to tell them and what's going to happen. And yes, it's going to hurt, but it's for your own good. Like we learn in all our teachings and as religious teachings or from our parents. But of course, we need to go through the pain to know what's going on. But regarding research and studies, it's difficult to measure suffering and do any empirical study. But we know that we all suffer. But the good news is that in the last 20 years, more or less, there has been an increase in neuroimaging studies, and they have brought a better understanding of the brain function, and also the anatomical and physiological changes in mental disorders. For example, the hippocampus, it's a part of our brain that is responsible for memory and emotion. It has been measured in patients with depression. And the neuroscientists have found that it can have up to 25% less gray matter in in the brain. So, or it's a smaller, there's a hippocampus in patients with depression than in people without depression. So what does it mean? It means that suffering or chronic suffering, it can change your body. But also the opposite is true. So our physical change can lead to suffering. For example, a neural defect of the autoreceptor of serotonin can lead to a non-release of serotonin in the circulation. So, and this can cause depression. So we define depression as a state of undergoing pain, distress, or hardship, which is different from pain, as Charles said. Pain is defined as an unpleasant sensory and emotional experience associated with or resembling that associated with actual or potential tissue damage. So the International Association for Studies of Pain expands in 6 keynotes, but for our topic, that's why do we suffer. I got the first one, which I think is the most important one, because it says that pain is always personal experience that is influenced to varying degrees by biological, psychological, and social factors. So when we are under constant stress, even if it's considered like minor threats, paying bills, going on meetings with our boss, for example, or you're late and there's a traffic jam, you're paying the bills, you're taking care of your family. So all these daily minor stresses, they can, the adrenal gland, I got distracted now by my thought was here. The adrenal gland release the stress hormone called cortisol and adrenaline. So they increase the blood pressure, the heart rate, they increase the sugar in the bloodstream, they alters the immune system response, they suppress digestive system, suppress growth factors process. So all of this, all the time, when we are having our repetitive thoughts, having negative thoughts about ourselves and about others, it can lead to psychosomatic disease. So psycho, mental, from our brain, from our consciousness, and somatic from our body. So we change our body and our mind with repetitive thoughts, with constant stress. And also it can precipitate factor of endocrine disorders, so diabetes, hyperthyroidism, anovulation or menstrual irregulation, obesity. So this all can be changed when we are under constant anxiety, stress, suffering. And why am I saying all of this? Because we all know that, most of us know that, and all of us know that we have to have a balanced life, eat healthy, do sports, but we don't do that, so we continue to suffer. We know that we need to change the job that we don't like, but we continue that job because we are insecure. We can fear the future. We have uncertainties about the future. We lack faith. I think, in my opinion, this summarizing all of these insecurities, it's a little bit of lack of faith, because even myself, like today, I was thinking a lot about something, and I start suffering, and you start feeling inside your chest that anxiety, and then I was like, what is 2 weeks in eternity, so okay, I can wait 2 weeks, no problem, and it's fine. And then you just relax, you just start breathing better, you start feeling better. It's like a weight less in your body. So all these changes, they are important for us, because then we can relax, and then our body function is better. We think better, because while we are still in that anxiety, in that suffering, in that repetitive thought, we cannot think on anything else. And I say, like, no, I have to I have to work, I have to prepare for the presentation. But of course, everybody's different, and other people cannot think that way and change that way. I am lucky that I have started studying Spiritism and starting to understand the situations where and recognizing this suffering, this feeling, and then having this idea that put on on God's hand, and everything will be fine. It doesn't depend on me now, so let's wait and see. And this comes down, this comfort myself. And I think when we start thinking this way, we start comforting ourselves better, changing also attitudes, situation, and all the energy that's around us also change. The people who are around us also feel this change, this vibration differently. But of course, we have the psychology, as Elsa was saying, and talk about Joanna de Angelis. In psychology, this is constant suffering and thinking about suffering. Sometimes it's the way that we self-sabotage, and we make an unconscious commitment to suffering, to loneliness and frustration. So their origins can be found in childhood, when there's a strong need for affection from a parental figure who was strict or was cruel or neglected the child, for example. And this child may think, when he grows or she grows, may think that it's his destiny to rely on suffering rather than fulfillment. So that's why it's also important. We always mention that we have to have medical consultation or psychological therapy, psychotherapy, because we are creators of our suffering. And Buddha has a good saying that the root of suffering is attachment. And Charles and Elsa were, and you also, Stephen, were saying about it, that we are attached, we have our needs, and of course, progress, the materialism is good for our progress, for our comfort, but too much is also not good. So when we are attached to too much money, too much material things, we forget that we're not going to take it to the other level, to the spiritual plane with us. So we get attached to those things, and to material things, and this constant thinking of or attachment to people also, and this causes the frustration. This causes the expectations that, in consequence, is the frustration, because we expect that people will behave the way we want them to behave, but in reality, everybody is different. Every person is a different soul, is a different spirit. We have all our own experiences. We have our own reincarnations, and we bring our experiences with us through lives, the reincarnations. And I will mention the book of Leon Denis, which is called Life and Destiny. And in the chapter 26 and 27, I'm just summarizing that pain transforms. So it enhances, I summarize a little bit, but it enhances the power inside us that already exists, but we suppress throughout our existence. So when we unveil the cause of suffering and accept it as a lesson to be taken, the spiritual awakening happens. So the ability to endure pain, to suffer, increase with our moral progress of the spirit. So the more we progress, the more we are capable of dealing with the pain and support and enduring these sufferings. But we can change that as well. We can change our thoughts, and we can change the suffering. That's an example that I gave from myself from today. And I always think about André Luiz in the Evolution in 2 Words from Chico Xavier, psychographic, this book. And he informs us that man cannot change what's hereditary, but he can change his body depending on his own behavior. And through his thoughts, improving or denigrating his situation according to his choice for the good or for the bad. So our cells obey simple or complex commands of our thoughts, governing our existence. So we are always capable of changing our own suffering if we change our thoughts, if we change this negative thinking into transforming everything into love, and bringing love to our lives, and forgiving the other and forgiving ourselves, because sometimes we are blaming ourselves for everything. And we are human beings, and we are here experiencing, we are here progressing, evolving. So we have to love ourselves and love the others as well. So that's a way of bringing peace for your daily life and making your health state, your health better. Because when you are in peace, when you are calm, your whole immune system works better, you sleep better, and this is already proven. I don't have to cite any article or study specific by any great scientist, because we all know that love brings us a good feeling inside and makes our life better. That's it. I cannot summarize. I try. I was thinking of I was summarize, but I think I can't. It's just
it's good to understand. Like, for example, all these explanations we had here, all these examples we gave. By the way, the example I gave is not me. I just paraphrase a friend, Simão Pedro de Lima. He's a spiritist speaker in Brazil. So he used this example about the child who goes to take the vaccine, the injection.
The vaccine.
Yeah.
It's all about the vaccine.
yeah, exactly. Now it's vaccine, yeah. But all these explanations, of course, will not lessen our pain, will not say, oh, I'm suffering. Well, great. No, right? No. This will give us some kind of comfort in order to use our rationality and go through this. This is the message we want to give to everyone, that, hey, calm down. We are suffering. Understand, everyone has your own burden. Everyone has your own problem, bigger or not, but you have your problem and you need to deal with it. And if you tackle this problem with some rationality, the probability for you to make this period of suffering less, it's better. Like Diego said here, I like what Diego gave a comment to us, and he said,
I was just reading it and I was here laughing. That poor dog.
Yeah. He said, I remember the history of the dog that was sat down on a pin. It was pain enough to make it cry, to make the dog cry, but not enough to make him move off. Perfect.
Haroldo always mentioned this one.
Oh, really?
But you have to have something shaking you in order you to wake up and do something. Otherwise, you got complain, but do nothing. Joana de Angelis is clear. He has a. Give me 1 second, 2 seconds.
You have 3
seconds. Deliberation from suffering is presented as urgency by the afflictions that provide pain, anguish, emotional conflict, frustrations, anxieties, and losses. Soon after understanding it, the ego disarms itself and contributes in favor of solidarity and compassion, steps that denote the presence of love in the psychic and emotion, favoring the self with the legitimate understanding of reality. You can. My husband had a cancer that was difficult, no cure, not at all. But he was not suffering. He was a person that was dealing with this, of course, terrible illness, but in a different way, never complained. He was doing beautiful things, talking beautifully, and the cancer was eating him. But it's different that the one that sometimes is only a finger cutting and they complain, suffer even more. It's up to us the way that we are dealing and see our sufferings. But always there are people suffering more than us. When we don't compare pains, we don't compare suffering, but it is true. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so I will show a second video, very short but very inspirational, very good. And let me put the video here. It's ready. Okay. I mute myself.
Hello, and welcome back to the Rational Spiritualist channel. Today, I'll be guiding you through the process of letting go. Before we get into this, leave a like, comment on what you'd like to see next, share with a friend, and subscribe for more. Something I realized possibly 2 years ago, before I'd begun the path to enlightenment, was how fruitless worrying is. I often felt anxiety over situations that were completely out of my control. When I reached the understanding that my anxiety did nothing to affect the situations that I was in, and only affected me negatively, it became quite easy to rid myself of it. This understanding reflects an important practice we can all apply in our lives, and that is the practice of letting go. The Buddha said that attachment is the cause of all suffering. One of the strongest attachments most people have is to control. It can be difficult to accept that we have very little or often no control over external factors. We can solely control our own actions. For that reason, a great action we can choose is to let go of control. Unfortunately, it can be more difficult to let go than to simply know it is fruitless to worry. In small situations that might work, but for much larger things, there's a far more effective method that works well for the small things as well. That is, to meditate on letting go to God. If you don't believe in God, replace God with fate or chance, but this practice is far more effective with God. When anxiety is overwhelming, it's best to formally meditate and use a guided meditation if that helps you. With enough practice, all you'll need to do in the future is to momentarily pause whatever you're doing, focus on your breath, and repeat the phrase, "I let it go to God." We are not in control of our lives or of outcomes. Ultimately, God is in control. By surrendering control and allowing God to take his rightful role, we often find that things end up working out. Whether that means we get the outcome we wanted or we learn a valuable lesson. Remember, suffering is resistance to letting go. If we learn the lesson from any situation we would previously have perceived as negative, the situation not only loses that negative connotation that we assigned it, but it will not be repeated again. We only experience repeated hardship when we've refused to learn the lesson that hardship is meant to teach us. Our lives are like a school for souls. The tests begin easy, but if we don't learn, they'll increase in difficulty till the suffering is so unbearable that we have no choice but to learn. Once we have learned, the problem won't reappear, except possibly to remind us of the lesson when we have forgotten. Remember, God is benevolent, loving, and merciful. If we all learn to let God be in control of our lives, humanity would be free of suffering. But as you've learned, you can't control anything besides your actions, so each person has to let go for themselves. Repeat after me. God is in control. I choose to let go of control. My life is in God's hands. I let it go to God. While I can't make you let go, I hope I've inspired you to want to let go. I truly believe this will free humanity of suffering, but needs to be done one person at a time. So please, share this video, especially with those you believe need it most. Leave a like if you enjoyed, Leave a comment with what you'd like to see next and subscribe for more. Thank you.
Short video, but this guy said everything, you know. We need to let it go. And again, it will not diminish our pain. No, but that's it. So any comments, guys, from the video? Because we need to wrap up.
Yes, I would like to, of course, yes, it's a very nice video again. And I lived also something like this, you know, when you are in front of the doctor and the doctor looks into your eyes and tells you, hey, Mr. Kempf, I have not a good news for you. You have a cancer. How do you behave in this case? What is your reaction in this case? Basically, okay, doctor. Okay, how do we face it now? What do we do? And then, of course, you go through blah 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 surgery and so on. Where you awake from the surgery, you see you are bound by all this beep, all the blood pressure measuring and the injection of this and then drain of that and whatever. And then you are on your bed and you tell, okay, here I am. What shall I do? And it's, how to say, I really thank God having known all these things before, all this, what we are trying to explain you, in order to facilitate to live it myself. And I can really tell you, it works. Clearly, it works. When you have pain, okay, you just tell to the doctor or to the nurse that they know what to do to fix, to reduce the pain. But the suffering, it's up to you to how to say, with the coping, cope positively with it, and then you overcome. And today, when I think about the past years, thanks God, it's solved. For me, clearly, it was foreseen. I selected to have that before this life. Clearly, it helped me to fix problems from the past. Now it's done, and okay, so the life continues and the mission is not finished, even very consciently that one day it will be finished, and then okay, it will be for the next life, for the continuation. So it's the fact to have this vision, the spiritual vision. Sometimes it helped me so much. I sometimes wonder, how can someone which is really fixed in a materialist vision just from birth and to the end, coping with such things? It must be very, very difficult. So that's my message. Okay, it helped me a lot, and I'm infinitely grateful for having passed for such a trial. I'm changed. I'm not the same anymore now after this experience than before.
Thank you, Charles,
Thank you,
for sharing it. Just want to mention that Charles did the right thing. You know, he spoke to the doctor. He got the information. He went through all the surgery, all the possible capable doctors, and what he had to do for himself to get rid of the cancer. And what we cannot do is just to put on God's hand and leave it for him to solve our problems and to solve our suffering and to solve everything. And we have to have our responsibility and take action. And of course, up to the point that's okay, now is surgery and now I am here. So okay, I put in God's hand. I pray for the surgeons and all the nurses to do a good job. But also, I am doing my part. So I am here having the surgery. I'm going through all of this and not just living for not having the operation, not having chemotherapy if he had to, because he will think that God will solve his problem. So no, that's not what we are mentioning here and not what the video said either. So it's very good to emphasize it, because some people may, as I know we have a few seconds, but I have to share this experience I had during my medical school, the last year of the medical school, and a very simple, humble woman, probably on her 60s, and she came with very big and advanced breast cancer. And she was saying that, I'm not talking about religion, I'm just talking about the attitude, that the pastor on her church said for her to pray for Jesus that she would be cured. And of course, she's a simple person. She believed in him, and she didn't go for any surgery or any doctor or anything, but she believed that she praying, she was going to get rid of that lump, and then after, of course, it was all spread, and there was nothing much we could do at the point. So that is totally different from going through the suffering, but doing our part as well. As human beings, we have to take responsibility and have to take our steps and trust and have faith. That's it. I'm sorry. It's 1 minute past.
No, it's wonderful.
No, it's
Wonderful, Nadia.
Thank you, Nadia. Thank you very much. Okay, before we go, let me show this. So this Sunday, Buzz and Spiritist Society of Ireland will show this event, this speech by the Medium's Book with Joca Deloni. And also, it's 11 o'clock. Okay? And also, on the 22nd of May, we will have the 8th British Congress on Medicine and Spirituality with the presence.
So small, Esteban.
Yeah, don't get any bigger, you know. Yeah. Let me see if I can increase a little bit. Yeah, I can.
Wonderful.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry?
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
go ahead.
We have a question here that Leopold asked if he saw the door open in my room, but he didn't see a person open it. It's my dog. It's my dog opening the door. No.
I would have said the draft or the wind.
No spirits here. Well, many spirits here, but none that I can see.
It's to scare you, Leopold, you know.
The real spiritists, they always search first for the material causes before entering in the hypothesis of the spirits.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so
thank you.
Thank you, three of us. Thank you for this such amazing opportunity to learn and sharing your thoughts. Thank you very much, and be good, be safe, and I'll see you and talk to you next week, 9 o'clock Britain time, and thank you very much, and I wish you all have a good night.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.